Hello, sixth grade social studies students. This is Mrs. Lance. I am trying again for my video. Today we are going to be talking about why history matters. I have a second part to this, but today we're going to talk about why it matters and uh, why it's important to study it. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. You will have, let's see, oh, this is why history matters. I need my other notes. Give me a second. Okay. I need the copy. So you will get your copy of Why History Matters notes. This will be a short little snippet. Like I said, there's a second part that I will upload as well. So today we'll look at these notes right here. What you can do is you can make it go up to the top and click on the square that makes it like a smaller window if you're on a computer, or you may have to go back and forth between my video and your copy of the notes to type in if you're on an iPad. So you all know how to minimize one app and then get back to the other app. So you can pause my video whenever you need to, because talking is way quicker than typing. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit. And first of all, we want to think about what is history. Okay, I have these cool notes, and my students in class got these same notes. So what is history? Well, we know that history involves like the past events, but there's an important part of that in class we talked about should be added onto that, because the past is important really in how it relates to our present. So what is history? It is the study of past events and how they relate or connect to the present. Okay. So for instance, Abraham Lincoln that we see right here, we want to study what impact he had on history. So what happened when he was alive? What was the important events he was involved in? Obviously the Civil War, the Emancipation of Proclamation of the slaves. But how does that relate to now? Why is it important that he was alive and made the decisions that he made? So like I said, I'm just going to say it. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can type in those notes. All right, so I hope you're back from pausing. And the next thing that we want to look at, and we read some quotes in class to study this, but why does history matter? Okay, some people say, oh, history is just about old people, dead people, people. I don't know. Well, it is about people that you don't know, and it is about old people. But history matters for a few reasons, because it gives us the ability to compare the past to, I'm going to take it a little shorthand, try to make it easier on you guys. Compare the past to the present. So that's the first reason. And one of the important things that happens when we compare the past to the present is that we can try to avoid past mistakes. Every person, every group of people has made mistakes, and so we study the past. We want to know why that event matters and how can we possibly avoid the mistakes that we as human beings have made in the past. All right, and our third reason is also something that I believe because it is interesting. Okay. Yes, it is very interesting. All right. And I had a fourth reason. My memory's escaping me though. Maybe what you can do is write one more reason why you think history matters. Why does looking at the past matter for right now? Why don't we just close the book? Oh, that happened. It's done with. There's a good reason. I want you to think about it and maybe write one other reason. So I'm going to go ahead and allow you to save or pause the video and then go ahead and work on your copy of the notes. And like I said, you can have these three things and then add one more thing. So pause it. All right, so we are going to move on to why do we study history? Okay, so on our other page we said why history matters. Now, why are we studying it? Okay. Now, there are good reasons, or there are many negative things we can say. Oh, we can look at the past and see the mistakes, but there's also positive things, like celebrate achievements. Okay, what are the good things that people or groups of people have done, or positive changes that have happened in our society, and we can celebrate that. Okay, so that's our first reason. And if, like I said, just pause the video so you can type that in. And I'm going to move on to the second one. So make sure you got that before I move on. Okay. So I love this picture. I think it goes with this little call out box perfectly. Why do we study history? Also, because it gives us heroes, leaders, and others who inspire us to stand up for others. I love that reason of why we study history with this image of Martin Luther King Jr. And I want you, I'm going to pause right now. You can pause the video, but I'm going to just share a little bit about what we did in class. We talked about a story, a memory, something that we remember in our life. And that event, okay, that event is something that's part of history. So I'll say what I told the students in class. I said, your story is history. Your story is important, and you are important. We never know if one of you virtual learners at home, you could be the next Abraham Lincoln. You could be the next Martin Luther King Jr. So your story is important. You never know, someone could be writing a biography about you. You could be the next president. You could be the next Mother Teresa. Your story is important. And so just keep that in mind. As we talk about history, history is not just big groups of people, it's individuals. And so what happens to you is important. And the individual stories that we have and that we're sharing, those are important as well. And so I'm going to try to share not just stories about big groups of people, because that's what we hear about most often in history, but try to share stories of individuals. History is made up of individuals, and you never know what part you might be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you pause the video if you need to. Okay, so our third reason, why do we study history? We also study it to think about when we might have the opportunity to stand up for those who are mistreated or treated unkindly. And I just want you to think about this. It's really easy to, as a human being in 2020, to say, hey, if I were around when this were happening, like slavery or all kinds of different eras where maybe people were mistreated during segregation, when we had separate fountains, it's really easy to say that we would be standing up for what's right. But once we study the background of events or look at what happened before that event, why many people might have thought that way, we find that it really gives us a little more compassion, a little more grace on people that so many people maybe didn't think the way we think in 2020. And we really want to look at how people were thinking, why people were mistreated, that there's a little more to the story than just there's a bad guy and there's a good guy. And so just keep that in mind. So when we look at events, we want to think about how in our 2020 day, how do we stand up for those who are mistreated or treated unkindly? And I'll say what I told my group is there's people are people, will always have different opinions, will always disagree on many topics. That's normal. But are we mistreating people for having a different opinion? Are we being unkind to them for having a different opinion? That's where we really want to kind of pause. And even if we don't agree with someone about a historical event or something in our year 2020, we want to make sure that we treat them with kindness, no matter where we stand on an event in history or a current event. Okay? All right, and that is the end of the notes. And just to let you know, please do not edit any of these notes. These were notes that were created by Leah Hansen, and they were modified for online classroom purposes. So just type in the boxes where it says text box, and I'm going to show you if for some reason you click on this, poof, and you accidentally delete it, you can go up to the T that says text box and draw a text box and then type in it again. So can't wait to see you guys.